Okay, I think we're ready to get started now. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my phone off. All right. So I think that a few people will probably be trickling in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll just, invite them to come in. I'll probably take the sign-in sheet away so they don't just clog up the door.
Sure.
The sign-in sheet up front that many of you have already signed, just so you know, that's for Amy to know that you want a copy of the presentation, and then she would send that to you. So that's what the sign-in sheet's for. If you didn't get your name on it and you would like to, there will be some time at the end of the presentation to do that. Okay. I will shut the doors after a few minutes if that's okay that I get up, because of that kind of noise right there. So, okay. Is there any housekeeping things that anyone needs right now before we get started? I don't know what I would do, but I'm here. Okay, so I do have parking vouchers if anyone needs a parking voucher. And then there's no handouts for this presentation because we're being minimal today. And if anyone has questions about EAP or anything otherwise that I might be able to be helpful to you about, please get a hold of me after this. Before that, or as far as that goes, I'd like to introduce our speaker for this month's Health Bites. It's Amy Cavalier. We're pleased to have her. So everybody, Amy.
Great. Thank you, everyone. This is exciting. Second time here, just as full of a room. And it's a great way to start off the year with this message. I can see that this topic is growing in interest for people. It's not a fad. It's really, truly life-changing. My name's Amy Cavalier. As Cody said, I'm the leader of the Rochester Minimalists. And I started this process many, many years ago. And what that's resulted in is me finding extra time to give back to my community and share this message with people. So it has added so much value to my life and helped me discover, how I can give back. So if you'll just, if you feel like you need to leave because you have someplace else to be, feel free quietly. If you can't stay till the end, feel free to leave. Stay later if you need to ask questions. We do have a lot of material to cover in a short amount of time. So if you could save your questions for after, jot them down. And if we have time, we'll do some, open questions. Otherwise, you can come to me and I will answer anything I can. I will send you the presentation if you've signed up for it. That way you don't have to take anything home and stick it in your pile of papers and clean it out later. That's not what my point is here today. So, and again, I'll also add you to our newsletter, Minimalists meeting. Our Minimalist group meets once a month, and we talk about things related to minimalism, but we also do, panel discussions, and we talk about related topics. We get out into the community. It's just about connecting with other people who are like-minded. So let's just get started. This first slide really sums it up. A lot of people are feeling anxious, cluttered, stressed out. We have control. It is within our means to choose to change that. So hopefully today I will help you reevaluate what brings value to your life and understand a little bit more about minimalism. So here's a quote. I won't read it out loud. You guys can kind of read it, but there's good news here today. There is no formula or magic number of books on your shelf, belongings in your home, items hanging in your closet, that will make you a minimalist. It's not one size fits all. It's different for every single person. My goal here is to kind of help you assess in your mind what minimalism looks like for you. But again, I said I wouldn't read it out loud, but it has created a lot of freedom for me. Freedom from overwhelm, freedom from the guilt and the trappings of consumer culture. That's really, my goal here today isn't just to help you, sell you on minimalism. It's to help you not go out and buy as much. Our environment is depending on it. So, and that quote is from Ryan Nicodemus and Joshua Fields Milburn. They are known as the Minimalists. If you want to follow up and find some materials out there, they are two authors who actually started the Rochester Minimalist group. And they have these groups all over the country in big cities. So we're just very lucky to have one here in Rochester, and I've been leading it for about 3 years. Joshua Becker is also a really popular name in this field. He's Becoming Minimalist is his blog. And he talks here more about what minimalism is. It's not easy to define, but it's really become a topic of interest, especially I see a lot of people talking about Marie Kondo's life-changing magic of tidying up. I think there's something happening on like YouTube or like she's on like Netflix or something. I don't watch TV, so I don't really know, but I see a social media, it's really becoming, I think maybe it's the new year. Everybody wants to start fresh. So the first thing I would say is it's not a trend. Minimalism's helped me do a few things. Define the difference between a need and a want. Determine the opportunity, the difference between a full yes, a maybe, and a no when it comes to like, what do I say yes to? I don't think there's any maybes for me anymore. If it's a maybe, it's probably a no. So that's kind of like how I tune into myself and say, if it's a maybe, there's a reason for me to not say yes right away. I need to think about it a little more. I can function more efficiently and effectively. It's made room for more new ideas and energy in my life, new people. It's saved me money. And it's allowed me to see that I have the power to choose a lifestyle that I can afford rather than trying to keep up with the Joneses or compare myself to others or work my butt off so that I can pay for my lifestyle. It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? So why change? Here's some really shocking statistics. One of the biggest ones is like we spend 55 minutes a day looking for things we can't find. And then when we can't find them, we go out and buy them again. And then we find them. So we've wasted money, we've wasted resources, and we've wasted our time. And we're in debt. Where's that coming from? What are we buying with all that money? Do we even know? This is the state of storage. I mean, look at that. Since 2014, this storage industry has risen. There's 2.3 billion square feet of storage in the United States, which equates to 7 square feet of storage per person in the United States. When you put something in storage, do you really need it? What's it doing in there? If you're not using it, maybe it's time to rethink it. My first experience kind of realizing I was a minimalist, or maybe starting my process, was I had a storage unit. I was in Oswego and I was going to move to Rochester. 2 years I had that storage unit. It got broken into 2 weeks before I moved here. Everything was stolen. Except my yearbooks. They didn't want those apparently, which is cool, those are good to have. But it quickly made me realize I was attached emotionally to these objects. And now looking back, come on in. Looking back, it was a blessing because I've moved. I did the math recently because I'm doing a shared housing panel in February. How do people share their house and make money, and Airbnb, all different ways. I've moved 13 times in 20 years. I've lived with 35 different people. But had I moved those belongings in that storage unit 13 times, I would never have been able to find room, and I would have just broken my back. So it was a process, and it started with that, recognizing that these were just things, and now years later, I don't even remember what was stolen. So, and the average cost of a storage unit is $91 a month. So think about that. So why do we hold on to things? How did we get into this situation? Guilt. There's guilt associated with keeping items. Maybe they remind you of a person, a place, a situation, an experience in life. Maybe you're on a budget. You're not sure when you're going to be able to afford new things. You're planning a yard sale. So that means your basement's full of your stuff that you're going to sell for pennies. Your time is money. How long does it take you to clean out, prepare for, promote the yard sale, set it up, sit there and wait for people to come and try and, get you down on price so that you're getting nothing for your dollar. When you do the math and you say how many hours you spent and how much money you made, it's pennies. So we're saturated with stuff. Nobody needs it anymore. You go to an antique store, it's just like a cemetery of history. Nobody has room in their lives, and newer generations especially don't see the value in these things. So if you're hanging on to that stuff for your yard sale or your estate sale, think again. Maybe you'll contact an appraiser and find out what it's really worth, or think about what your time is worth this summer. Wouldn't you rather be spending your time doing something like spending time with your family or going on vacation? Maybe you're a teacher, a tinkerer, or a crafter, and you see potential in every discarded magazine, piece of macaroni, or milk carton, the crafters. So maybe you don't want to see things go to waste. You don't want to see them go into the landfill. You're saving those keepsakes or antiques for your children or grandchildren. And then there's retail therapy. Does anybody remember after 9/11 what the president asked us to do to show our patriotism? Shopping. Yeah, go shopping. Not support a veteran and go shopping, like this is ingrained in us. If anybody's interested, The Story of Stuff, it's a 20-minute short film on the internet, and it will just show you like we are cogs in a wheel, and it is time for you to take back your power. Television, social media, you see those ads pop up that just happen to be exactly what you were talking about with your friend the other day. Now you need that item, so this is all intentional, and we are the victims. We are the guinea pigs. So really, like, think about it next time you need to go shopping. Compulsion to hoard, that's like the extreme, and I think it's the latest statistic is 6% of the population has a hoarding issue, and this is Americans. It's not across the world. This is us, our country. So when you think about clutter, the first thing that comes to mind is the stuff in your house, physical, tactile objects. But it's so much more. And once you start this process, it snowballs into every area of your life, whether it be food waste, how you spend your time. Like, you start to see, well, gee, I spent all my money and time accumulating all those things. What else am I doing that I could be, changing my routine, my patterns to get closer to what actually brings value to me, so I can spend my time and money doing the things that I actually want to do. So here's just some of them. And I this presentation could go on for hours, but I'm just going to kind of brush over some of the things. But things you do out of a bad habit, hitting the snooze button instead of getting up and exercising and meditating. Maybe eating out because it's easier, but it's more expensive and it's not healthy for you. Physical clutter, we've already talked about. Aspirational clutter, things you aspire to do someday. Example for me was like, I didn't think I had to have a garden. I had to have a garden. I had to grow those tomatoes. For years, I had this huge garden, and I would love the planting and the being outside. But when I had to pick the tomatoes and spend days and months and weeks, like, what do I do with all these tomatoes? Do I can them? It just became like September, the last month of the summer. I don't want to be in my kitchen making sauce. I want to be outside. There's farmers at the public market really close to me, and they grow tomatoes for a lot less. They have all the equipment, all the soil, everything. Like, I don't need to, why am I spending all this money and all this time when I can just go to the farmer's market, get some tomatoes if I really want to make sauce, So it was kind of like, oh, I like flowers, and I love to give people flowers. So I shifted my thought pattern, and I planted flowers and herbs, just kind of like thinking about the pleasure to payoff, and like pain ratio. You kind of have a formula. Digital clutter is a big one. We all have, our email inboxes. I don't know. I don't have my email on my phone, because if I were to see that number, I don't want to know how many emails I've got to check, but let's see, files on the computer, things like that. Mental clutter, so the noise in your head, like self-doubt, worry, guilt, negative talk. That's kind of a form of clutter. Social clutter, the people you interact with, social engagements you say yes to. Same with time clutter, obligations, invites, things that, you commit to, before you're thinking about how much time is this going to take. I used to plan like 3 weeks out. I'd have dates with friends, and then like 3 weeks later, I'd be like, oh, I'm not feeling like doing that tonight. So, taking a step back and saying, maybe I'm going to plan like a week or two out, because I don't want to know how I'm going to feel in 3 weeks. And, I actually want to be available in case something fun just randomly happens, Word clutter. Twitter was like, so eye-opening, and our society's changing. People, when you send an email with more than 2 questions, the third and fourth question, they just get ignored. So you have to kind of break it down to like 1 question per email. People just don't have the attention span anymore. We're a clicking society. We click on a headline, we might read the first line. We don't get to the end of the article. Save yourself the time. Those long text messages, that long text message you sent, and then somebody replied with a K. So maybe just think twice before you send it again. Just shorten it, short and sweet. Informational clutter, I think I already mentioned that one. Oh no, digital, it's similar. So the things you scroll through all day, you're trying to absorb on your social media, it's a new video game, and our minds are the ultimate prize, and our time is in the toilet. Work clutter, things that you take on that don't bring you purpose or serve, to bring you joy. We just take things on out of pressure from others, expectations, just habit, so it's kind of like rethinking what we take on in our lives. And financial clutter, bills, credit cards, statements, investments, debts, loans, if you can consolidate those, think of how much easier you're going to breathe. This is a process that takes years, and it's difficult when you look at this list, like how many areas you could work from. But I promise you, if you just take it one day at a time, one area at a time, slowly you'll notice a big difference. And like I said, it snowballs. So what are the benefits? I mentioned some already. Saving time. Owning fewer things means less time spent cleaning, organizing, looking for lost things, and finding room for your stuff. Saving money. So, if you can reduce unnecessary purchases, find creative ways to borrow, barter, and even get things for free, you can use that money to take care of all those financial clutters that we have. And like I said, it's your choice what lifestyle you want to lead. Society doesn't need to dictate that. And now that I have less stuff and I have opened up my home to rent out rooms, I don't pay my mortgage anymore. Somebody else pays my mortgage. I use that money to go on vacation or put back into my house. So rethinking this has just changed my whole life. Peace of mind. Your mind is a room. If it's cluttered, you cannot function in your day-to-day work. If you have too many things going on, you're not effective. So, think about that. And when you walk into a cluttered room, how you feel, that's your mind. We have to kind of like make the cut, figure out what things bring value and which things don't. Minimalism has a calming effect on the mind. Decision fatigue. I don't know if anybody's heard about Steve Jobs. He wore a uniform, and that was because he had bigger decisions than what he was going to wear every day. And that was just, they say that the average adult makes on every day 35,000 decisions. 262 of those are related to food. And so just think about that, eliminating things so that you don't have as many decisions to make. Setting an example for the next generation. We need to be raising the next generation of citizens, not consumers. Gaining an appreciation for what you have. So when you start to notice the difference between a want, a need, and a luxury, you begin to realize how little we need to survive. If you've ever gone camping and had to carry everything like backpack camping, I just recently took this up over the summer, and I needed everything in that bag, to be comfortable, even a pillow. But then I had to carry it for 3.5 miles. And trust me, suddenly I was like, I am not a minimalist when it comes to camping, So it just gets a lot easier. If you had to carry everything on your back, it would be a lot easier to determine what you need and what you just kind of like having around. So the biggest one, the environment. On average, we throw out more than 68 pounds of clothing and textiles per person per year. We waste $1,500 in food each year thrown in the trash because we didn't eat it. Maybe we went out to dinner instead. So there's a lot of money savings in this, really. Once you find ways to get stuff for free and cheap and share and realize that everybody has what you need, you just need to ask for it. You don't have to buy it. Do you really need a drill? Maybe you need a drill, but the average drill gets used 30 minutes in its lifetime. Borrow the drill from somebody else. Do you need 5 ladders in your garage? Do you have a neighbor who has a ladder? Finding ways to share. We really have to do this. It's essential for our future. I already mentioned less comparison, more moderation, less need to compare to others. Again, that's why I don't watch television, because I know when I do watch TV, I see those ads and I know how they make me feel. And I'm like, oh, I don't have that? Is that making my life worse that I don't have it? Do I need it? I just don't like that feeling of somebody else telling me what I need or what makes me a successful person. New energy, new people, new things can come into your life by getting rid of the old. When you're holding on to something because it reminds you of the past, you are living in the past. It's easy to say, I want to hold on to it forever because it's my grandmother's, but grandma would want you to move on. She would want to see you live a full life and not carrying on her china, whatever it is. that's holding you down and holding you back. So then this cartoon, really, I love this cartoon, and I think you can all see it, but like this is a brain and heart struggle. Our heart wants to hang on to everything. Our brain knows we shouldn't. And it's not gonna just be like overnight. You kind of have to keep squirting the heart with the spray bottle like a cat until you finally get it. And then, they all grow up so fast, so it truly has taken years, but I get it now. I finally get it. So how do we get started? That's really can be overwhelming. And I don't know if everybody can read the mem over there. Oh my. It says, I spent the first 2/3 of my life acquiring stuff that doesn't matter only so I can spend the last 1/3 getting rid of it. What a stupid game of consumerism we Americans play. And maybe some of us are in that 1/3 of life now, but save your children and your grandchildren that curse and help them understand. Get rid of your things now. Don't leave it for them because they don't want it and it's going to burden them. And you want them, if you're gone or you're getting older, you want them to spend time with you, not cleaning out your stuff. So starting by setting attainable goals. If anybody has seen the movie Minimalism, a documentary about the important things, that's by the minimalists. A lot of people look at that movie and say, oh, that is so not me. They have very sparse, like 5 hangers in their closet, nothing on their walls. My house looks nothing like that. I have things in my house, but I know the things I have, they get used by me or my roommates. So don't set yourself up for failure by comparing yourself to a standard that you're not going to attain. It's going to look different for you. You're going to celebrate those small victories. It doesn't have to look like the minimalists' books do or houses do. So don't get overwhelmed. It's going to take years. It took us years and years and years to get here. It's going to take a couple of years to get out of this mess. So lose the sale mentality. This saying my friend told me the other day, just because it's on sale. Oh no, hers was just because it's free doesn't mean it's for me. But even the on sale works as well. Just before you buy something, ask yourself important questions. Like, does it actually fit? Can I walk in these shoes all day? Can I wear it with more than one outfit? I'm going with clothes because that's something that's easy to relate to, but does it have more than one purpose? Now we've got the crock pot, the pressure cooker, the Instapot. What else? There's the bullet and a blender and a food processor. Can we just pick one? You don't need all of that. You just got to pick one that works for you. How much storage do you have in your kitchen? And how often are you using these things? My example is my cardigans. I got a lot of sweaters. We live in sweater world. We need to have layers here. I had 5 black cardigans. I didn't like any of them. But black cardigans are an essential part of the wardrobe, right? We'll have a couple sweaters that I really love. So why don't I just get that style sweater in black instead of having 4 black sweaters that I don't really dig. So it's getting strategic in my style in what I purchase. You want to feel confident and comfortable in your clothes. If there's something you're not sure about, wear it for the day and you'll know by the end of the day if you just want to throw that thing away because it was too tight, it didn't fit right, it made you feel weird, it was frumpy. So don't hang on to stuff. And again, just because it's free doesn't mean it's for me. The keychain being given away at the local festival, the awesome curb score, something your friend no longer needs and you're like, I want that. There's a hidden cost. Takes time and space to store it. You may need to invest money to fix it or maintain it or use it. It's not a freebie. And then there's the pressure of how to get rid of it later. How do you rationalize getting rid of it later? It was free. Why would I get rid of it? Eliminating duplication. How many mugs do you all have? Coffee mugs, how many do you use? Even if you didn't wash your dishes for 7 days, you only need 7 coffee mugs. Have 3 more for your friends, You don't need a whole shelf full of coffee mugs. If it's something you're only going to use once or twice a year, maybe think about borrowing it. When you purchase something, do your research. If you're going to buy something and spend a big amount of money, look for something with a lifetime warranty or a good reputation for quality. Check those reviews. It's better for your wallet. It's better for the environment. That way you don't have to buy it again next year. Amazon Prime is just a Pandora's box. If you pay for free shipping, is it really free? And then you have this like pressure, well, I paid for free shipping, so I need to order a certain amount of things every month to make it worth my time. Everybody has free shipping now because of Amazon. So don't fall into that trap. I have a friend whose rule about Amazon is anytime, when you order from Amazon, whatever comes in the box is usually like this big and the box is like this big. So she has a rule, whatever she orders, the empty box doesn't leave her house until it's full of things she doesn't need. So she knows when she orders off Amazon, she's gonna have to get rid of a lot of stuff. She might get one thing, but she's gonna have to get rid of like 10 before that box leaves the house. And nobody wants a bunch of boxes around their house. So think twice about going to the dollar store. Think about the conditions of the people who made that item. It didn't cost $1. The natural resources, the people, the labor, they're paying for it. We're not paying for it. Somebody else is, third world countries are paying for our Dollar Tree items. It gives you that impression that you can just accumulate it. It's $1. I'll get rid of it. It's not a big deal. If I get rid of it, it's only $1, So it's a mindset, we have to remember that there's dwindling natural resources and like other people are paying for that and it's not disposable. Before you let it simmer, before I buy anything, I write it on a list. And you could do an Amazon wish list. So then when Christmas comes and your family's like, what do you want? Here's a link, and you can go comb through it and be like, maybe you put something on there a year ago and you got it, so you take it off. I find when I put it on a list, it's like I'm putting it out to the universe, and somehow it finds its way to me for free, or I realize later I didn't need it. But I didn't immediately just go out and purchase it. I gave it time to think about it. See here, cut back on gifts. We just got through Christmas. The average American spends $900 a year on Christmas gifts, and it's pressure to like have something to give. I actually remember wrapping my gifts and I was like, oh no, mom only has 4 gifts and everybody else has 5. And I went out on the town and I was like looking around to buy her something. I'm like, what am I doing? This was against everything I believe in. She doesn't need another gift. If I can't think right off the top of my head of something she needs, the gift I can give her is one less thing. Do it yourself. These days, we are becoming specialists. We do our thing and then somebody else does something else. We don't know how to fix it ourselves. There are so many videos on YouTube. Before you pick up the phone to pay somebody else to do it, try and maybe ask that person to come teach you how, so that you're not dependent on other people to fix your things. And increase your aptitude. We're becoming weaker as a society as all these trades are being lost. There's ways to make it fun and make it stick. There's like the pantry purge, I always call. So, all those foods in your house that are just sitting there and you're like, in case what, why? In case we can't get outside for a week and what are we storing this stuff for? We don't want it. We don't want to eat it. The freezer's full of stuff we don't want, but just in case. It's like this scarcity mindset, like I may never get to go grocery shopping ever again. But get creative. Force yourself one week to say, okay, you can't go grocery shopping. You have to eat everything right out of your fridge. At first, it's like, whoa, I just want to go out to eat. I don't want to eat any of that junk, it's been sitting there. But then you might see, oh, I can put this and this together and I have a meal and it actually wasn't that bad and I saved money. And you learn to eat what you have, not just what you want. A lot of people, like that's really what it is we want everything. We want the best meal. We want Chinese today. Well, sometimes you have to sacrifice for the bigger picture and say, I'm just going to eat what's in the pantry. And it becomes kind of like a episode of Chopped where you actually get excited about challenging yourself to find ways to use that food you weren't using. Or just go down to your neighborhood blessing box and get rid of it and start from scratch. There's places you can donate food, but don't just keep the food in your pantry. The minimalism game is, I encourage you all to go home and try this. Maybe if not this month, next month. It's nice to start on the first of the month. For the first day, you get rid of 1 thing. Second day, you get rid of 2 things. The third day, you get rid of 3. By the 30th day of the month, you've gotten rid of over 450 items. It's up to you if you want to just get rid of them that day, which is really what's recommended, because if it sits in your basement, it might find its way back into your stuff. But there's, the first time I did the game, I had some piles. I had the Eco Park pile, the sale pile, bring back to mom pile. And then, as I did the game more and more, it was just like gone, and I have some other tips in here that helped me get rid of things on a really fast basis. So give that a try. You would be amazed. It really helps you see what you have and like what's just been accumulating in your house. When I first did it, I remember counting individual pencils and pens because I was so, I didn't want to get rid of my stuff. But by the third time, I didn't even keep track. I was like, as long as I got rid of, a few things a day, I was happy. And I even took pictures the first time I did the game. I was like, eventually I was like, why am I keeping pictures of things that I'm getting rid of? But it did help me look back and say, wow, I really was attached to these things that I was not using. So, and I've said this I've been insinuating, we are cogs in a wheel. There's a game. We're not those guys at the top. We're the ones under the board game. So stand up and their game's over. This is some questions you can ask yourself when you're shopping. There's a price tag. What does that really reflect what the cost is? No, not really. Might require dry cleaning. It might need retraining. You might have to store it. What is the productivity increase that justifies the ongoing expense? Do you need extra staff to support the new approach? How do you feel when you tell people you own it? Do you need extra security or insurance? What happens when the operation goes down and you need to replace it? What skills will you lose by relying on it? Is it housebroken? And what is the cost to all of us to produce it and then dispose of it when it's done? So some more, ways to begin. Enforce some rules for yourself. Set a budget for commonly used items in your household. The coffee mug example, 10. Tell yourself you can have 10 or whatever that number is, you decide. If you get more, others have to go. Keep that. We have a budget when it comes to finances. Have a budget when it comes to things. The 20/20 rule, I'm never sure how this works, but the minimalists say if you can replace an item for under $20 within 20 miles of where you live, don't keep it around if it's not something you use on a daily basis. That one hasn't really come into my world, but I put it up there. In the blog, the minimalist blog has a lot of tips like this. The hanger trick, you can see these hangers are backwards. Go home and turn all your hangers backwards in your closet. And then in 3 months, look and see how many you didn't use. When you use it, put it the right way. And then once you look in 3 months and see how many were actually used and do it in 6 months, by the end of the year, if you haven't turned that hanger around, it's probably time for it to go. And that's a good, visual for you to see what exactly you're wearing. Let's see here. So the 1 in, 1 out rule, that's easy, or 1 in, 2 out rules. Contact an appraiser to see how much your treasures are worth. I mentioned that. Might not be worth taking up space. After all, better yet, ask the person who you're saving it for if they actually want it. And then go beyond clutter in your house. Minimalism is a muscle. Like when you go to the gym at first in the beginning of the year and you're like sore and you can't do what you hoped you could do. Minimalism, the more you do it, the stronger you get, the easier it is for you. At first you'll hem and haw over every decision. By the time you're done, like I just open a drawer and I can be like, oh, gone, gone, gone. It's a lot easier. It becomes more clear. I don't want to get too deep into this because we have limited time, but there's a lot of parents. That's the biggest. I'm a parent. My children, I can't get rid of things. My kids need them. You're the parent. It is up to you to set the example. So you decide what is going to, what the rules that are going to fly, and realizing that you're saving your children this headache later on. So, asking other parents for hand-me-downs, things you're only going to use, you see a baby shower, the things those people get, and then a year later, they're giving them away because the kid only needed them for a few months. Why not just get those from somebody else who had them and then pass them on to the next person? These things aren't going to just, not be good in a year. They're plastic. They're going to last forever. Lincoln Library in the city has a toy share. Consider buying clothing on a cost per wear basis. So it's Easter and you want to go out and buy that cute outfit. It's going to get worn once. By next Easter, it's not going to fit. Why spend money on that? Why not spend more money on the clothes that the kid wears out playing every day? Buy the quality clothes that they're going to wear every day. It's a cost per wear kind of formula. Get creative. You can make these slings. I mean, you can make that out of fabric. You don't have to go out and buy the fancy brand name sling. Dirty diapers. I think it's hilarious that they make trash cans specifically for dirty diapers. You can use a kitty litter box or like with the lid. Do you really need the special, deodorizing? I don't know. It's just a thing, but make your own baby food. Babies can eat the food we eat. It's just smashed up, make it so they can chew it. So it's not, you don't have to go out and buy special foods and stuff. Changing table, a low boy bureau dresser can be converted to the top of it. And then that dresser can be used throughout the whole childhood. You don't need a special changing table just for changing dirty diapers on. Birthdays are not mandatory. When children are young, they don't know what they're missing out on. You don't need to cater the first birthday party and have the smash cake. And the kid, maybe someday they'll be like, oh, cute pictures, but they don't care. They're not going to remember that. That's all for you. So when you're saying you're doing this for your children, you're actually doing it for you. Don't give out goodie bags at the birthday gift parties and tell people you're not going to take gifts. Or if you're going to get gifts, they're going to be donated to charity, So maybe the child needs a few things, let them pick those things, and then everything else, teach that child the lesson of giving back to others. Maybe before Christmas, instead of focusing so much effort on what do you want for Christmas, how about you create a gratitude calendar where you have activities each week or each day. We have those chocolate calendars or you keep track of what day, how many days till Christmas. Maybe each of those days you focus on you make somebody smile. We go volunteer at a food shelter. We creating intentional activities that you and your family do together to create memories, not focusing on making sure there's presents under the tree. That is not, teaching them that that's not an expression of love. You are the parents. You set the rules, not society. Don't feel like you need to save everything your child ever made. Somebody told me they have one magnet on the fridge, and then when the child comes home, if they want to put something on the fridge, they have to choose to take the thing. There's only one magnet, and they have to learn early to choose that's done. Now I want to move on to the next thing. So maybe make a quilt with their old baby clothes. Don't save them. My mother saved all my baby clothes. I didn't have any children. What a guilt box of guilt that was. Oh, thanks, Mom. No pressure there. Buy a membership to the zoo, the play museum, get out of the house, make new memories together. And do you remember as a child when you got that fancy toy and all you really wanted was the box? Children have great imaginations. They don't need the latest gadgets and toys. A lot of these toys, they require no activity from the child. You push a button, it makes noise, it does everything for them. That's not teaching them anything. Let your child use their imagination. Get back to that old-fashioned sense of playing, Go to the community center, let the kids play with the toys there, and then leave the mess. Go home, to your clean house. And we get so angry with our children. Why are you picking up your toys? If you put 5,000 toys in front of a child, give them 1,000 toys, and then get mad at them for not cleaning them up, how do they even find the direction to directively, to play? That we wonder why children have ADD. Put me in a room with 1,000 things, I wouldn't know where to go either. Where do I start? We're cluttering our minds. This is something that we can stop. So you want to make it stick. I said before, this is taking a long time to get into this mess. It's going to take a long time to get out of it. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to wait till next weekend when I have time. Start now. Don't go room to room. As you go through your daily routine, be on the lookout for items that are just taking up space, that have not been used in years, that might be broken, worn out, no longer fit, dated. Just get rid of them as you go. It'll add up quicker. Use this as a lesson, not an opportunity to get organized. The goal is not to clean out and then reaccumulate. It's to learn what you actually need and then clear the space and not buy more. Think about, as you're cleaning out, think about the money that you're throwing away, and don't let it happen again. Learn from the process to stop consuming and start living. And have an end goal. My example was like my basement. Basements are catch-alls for everything. They're musty, they're for laundry. I want to work out in the morning. You know, I don't want the excuse of I can't get to the gym, it's too much time. So I went to Play It Again Sports and I got some weights, and I said, I'm going to clean the basement so that I have space to work out year round. And now there is no excuse for me to not get up in the morning and do my workout. It's all right there. And my basement is actually being used. I had roommates. One was a potter. She had a pottery wheel. The other was a musician. She had her keyboard. And I had my weight room. And like, what a beautiful, people go in my basement and be like, wow, this is like an energetic space. You know, there's things happening in your basement, you know. It's not just a room to catch all your stuff. It actually can be used as space. So visualize what you want that space to look like. Maybe, everybody was shocked when I had the minimalists over and we had a party in my garage, and they were like, this is so cool, you can use your garage for like a party. And I'm like, yeah, I parked my car in it in the winter. What? You have room for a car in there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's for. You know, and like, what a joy it is to pull out of that garage and when the snow is falling, and I'm like, you know. So think about what the space is going to be used for. What do you want it to be used for? Make that happen. Start taking care of the things you own better. So the things we have, if we go to use them and they're moldy or they're, you know, broken, or they've been in a flooded basement, you can't use them. You're going to have to go buy them again. So make sure that they're actually being stored and used properly. Learn how to say no to things that don't bring you joy. Figure out that formula in yourself. What is the difference? You know, how much joy does something bring you versus the amount of time, energy, and money it requires to sustain? Practice subtle ways of saying no to anything that does not. There's a book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bad Word. Starts with an F. It's a good book. It'll kind of give you a sense of like, we have a budget of how many things we can care for. And there, you know, be sure that you aren't saying yes to things that you don't have space for in your budget. Shift your mindset. You're doing that right now. You've started the process by changing your mindset, by thinking about your things in a different way. So now take it to the next level. Go home, start cleaning out. Listen to some podcasts while you do it. Get your mind in that mindset. You know, surround yourself with like-minded people. Come to a minimalist meeting. It's just like anything, it's not, you know, it's not automatic. You have to kind of like do the work to change your mind and shift that thinking. Let's see here. So here's some ways to do it. People, you know, like this is the hardest part, is like, okay, I got rid of all this stuff now. Now what do I do with it? There's a lot of ways to get rid of your stuff. Craigslist has a free cycle site. So you could just put it up there on free. If you don't want people coming to your house, meet them in a public location. Buy nothing. I'm going to show you a list shortly. Once I started the Minimalists group, I decided I wanted people to share. We can't have nothing. I mean, we're all going to need to use things, but why not share? And so I was like, what kind of vehicle is out there to share? There was free cycle, but that's through email. It's not really well used. It's not the interface, the user interface isn't that there. Something on Facebook, you know, that like the virtual yard sale site where you see a picture of something, it's for sale, you can see what you're getting. Well, there's something called Buy Nothing. It's an international concept run by volunteers. And in it, these are hyper-local groups, so they're delegated to your neighborhood. You'd have to like find the one that's specific to your neighborhood, and I have a list of those. And you get into that group and you can give away, ask for, or share anything for free. And my group has 700 members now. I'm in the Beechwood, Homestead Heights, North Winton Village area. And the things that are given away on a daily basis are incredible. We've had pools be given away. We've had washing machines, stoves. I just gave away a bike. You know, people, it's not that people don't want to get rid of their things. They just want to know that they're going to good use. So when I can, you know, go online and see, oh, so-and-so, my neighbor needs that, I'm going to give it to them. You know, I want to see somebody have it. You know, if I need anything now, I go right on Buy Nothing. I ask for it. I do not buy it. And I guarantee you I get it for free. It's already out there. It's already created. It's just in somebody's basement. I just got to ask for it. I mentioned Monroe County Virtual Yard Sale. That's really helpful. In the beginning, when you start this process, you will have a lot of things that are worth value that you can sell. And I would encourage you to get money for those because you don't want to see all your money go to the trash. So get online, sell it on Craigslist or the Virtual Yard Sale site. Community Wish List is a website that's all local charities, and they need your things. There's a search mechanism on the Community Wish List that you can type in, like you have a printer you don't need. Put in printer, every charity that needs a printer will come up. There's volunteers opportunities there as well, but if you have extra staplers, you have extra paper, random things, that Community Wish List can help you find a home for them. Genesee Valley Penny Saver has a give and take column. I used to be that girl. Anytime I needed something, I was on Facebook. Hey guys, I need your Easy Up. I need this. And at first I was like, my friends are going to get so annoyed with me. I'm asking for something else. But slowly but surely, that's kind of become normal. Just don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be afraid to offer it on social media. Somebody will probably take it off your hands. Have you ever heard of clothing swaps? Yeah, I've been doing them a lot. I think I might have gotten this shirt from a clothing swap. They have one at Photo City Improv a couple times a year that people just show up and there's tables with different sizes and you put all your items you want to get rid of on the table and then you go through and you pick up anything you want. So do that with your friends. It's a great way to get together with friends and say, everybody bring your clothes you don't want. It's not a one-for-one thing. You take as much as you want. And it's so nice when you're going through and you're like, what, can I afford this? Yes, it's free. I can afford it. I can take that home. And again, you have to be careful because you end up with things you don't want. But, it's a great way to get free clothes. And I'm always amazed. I'm like, you're getting rid of this? Just somebody doesn't want it anymore for whatever reason. It finds a home, somewhere else. Greenovation is on Main Street. They take pretty much anything except for clothing there. They'll keep it out of the landfill. And then the Monroe County Eco Park has a website with an extensive list of anything that's recyclable. So whatever you can't get in your blue bin, the Eco Park will probably have a place for it. For electronic clutter, Google Docs. I don't know, has anybody used Google Docs? It's brilliant. So for many years, I'd be like, I have my laptop and all my files saved on it. And then I get a new laptop and it would be this pressure to get everything off the old laptop onto the new laptop. And, but now I use Google Docs. And whenever I get rid of an old computer, everything is just on the cloud. I don't have to worry about my computer losing memory space and then not functioning properly. And Google Keep is the notes version for like your notepad, like when you're keeping notes on your phone. Google Keep, it's all linked through Gmail. So if I leave here today and I do this presentation in an hour at another place, I can just go on Gmail and it'll link me right to all of my Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, spreadsheets, you name it, you can create it on Google Docs. And then you're not worrying about, transferring or keeping up memory on your computer. Here are the Buy Nothing groups in the area. We started with 1 2 years ago. We have 15 of them now. That just shows you there is such a need to link people so that you can live cheaper, and more effectively and efficiently. So, you probably got one in your neighborhood at this point. And if you don't, and you're interested in learning more about it, I would love to talk to you about it, starting one in your neighborhood. It's just overwhelming, and I feel a great sense of pride. When I started this minimalist, leading the minimalists, my goal was intentional social media. Every day I was on social media and I had nothing to show for it at the end of the day. I started to feel like those kids when I was young. I'd see them playing video games and be like, what a waste of time. You have nothing to show for yourself at the end of the day. That's Facebook. I liked a bunch of statuses. I saved some links. I shared something. I wanted to have a direction when I got on social media. I wanted to make a difference with social media. And I started leading the minimalists, and now I'm just like so excited about the Buy Nothing communities. We have a May 4th free cycle event coming up. That'll be in the city, which I think it's called Free for All, second annual Free for All. And that'll be a day where we can just bring anything you want to give away, and you can take anything you want for free. We did it last year, and we filled those tables. It was 25 tables. They filled 4 times and emptied 4 times. It was amazing. It's second annual Free for All on Facebook. I think it's on Meetup as well. I try and keep everything on Meetup because a lot of people, part of their minimalism is they don't have social media. So second annual free-for-all, and it's at the Thomas Ryan Community Center. I can't think of it, but it's on Webster Avenue. May 4th, it'll be all day, and feel free to, you can just come up to me afterwards if you want, and I can share that with you on my phone. So for more information, The Minimalist, as I mentioned, they've got great podcasts. If you want to kind of keep this momentum going in your brain, check them out. They've got blogs, books, podcasts. Rochester Minimalists, we're on Facebook and meetup.com. We meet monthly. This month, we're starting the month off with The Story of Stuff, and we're going to watch that, and then we're going to talk about our minimalist goals and just kind of discuss that film. And then February, we're doing the shared housing panel, which is myself, because I share a house, somebody who does Airbnb, somebody who's lived in communal living their whole, since graduating from college. And then we're doing tiny home panel. So people who live in tiny homes, very popular topic. And then we just have, we're doing like No One Left Behind. We do all kinds of really interesting presentations. In September, we have a professor from SUNY Geneseo, Jim Allen, who wrote The Psychology of Happiness in the Modern World. And he will be our speaker in September. I've been partnering with Brighton Library for a lot of these. So it's a highly interesting schedule of events. I encourage you to come, and then you can meet others who are on the same journey. I've done podcasts with Rochester Groovecast on minimalism. We had a panel on minimizing your wardrobe. That was really interesting. 3 people who talked about how they've done it. One talked about the capsule wardrobe, if you're familiar with that. We did a tiny homes panel last year. That was recorded. And then we did a panel discussion on minimalism. And then the BuyNothingProject.org, if you didn't see that list, your name, group name on that list, you can go there, find out more information. So that really, I think I did good. I stayed on track in time. Does anybody have any questions?
What is the tiny homes? Like, I've seen a little bit of that on some documentaries, but
just less smaller dwellings,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and how to minimalize.
It's more like why did they decide to do the tiny homes? There's a lot of difficulties with zoning. Like, you can't just build a tiny home on a piece of property. You actually have to have a friend let you put your tiny home on their property. But these people will talk about how did they make that decision? How did they build their house? Like, how do they design it? Some of the designs are it's amazing to see when you have such little space, you have to be really aware of how you design that so that you can fit everything you need into it. So if anything, even if you don't want to live in a tiny home, it helps you kind of determine your own home, how to better organize that, so that you can fit more stuff in smaller spaces. So then we actually have somebody who talks about the difficulty with zoning and stuff, and what the status of tiny homes in Rochester is and stuff like that. Yeah.
How do you get especially families sort of on board with gift giving?
That's a tough one. Like I said, the Amazon wish list is nice because you do need things. But some people write a letter to their family before Christmas and explain, I want gift cards, or just, it's about communicating, and it takes years and years of introducing them, to that process and explaining to them throughout the year, not just at Christmas. I'm adopting a new lifestyle, especially, I'm finding this as a generational thing. The older generations are recognizing the need to do it. The younger generations want nothing to do with so maybe the younger generations are easier to convince, but it's really just a matter of communicating to your family and being clear on, I don't need any more things, If you give me this, you're getting it back. Yes.
There's a box of pictures in my basement, and I have no problem letting go of that. I also have pockets of them. And I'm getting like a little anxious just listening to you saying just get rid of that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
On photos?
Yeah.
That's what you have to determine. The value is that how much joy does that bring you? With the boxes in the photos in the box doing you any good?
Oh, no, I can get rid of them, but pictures of places that I've traveled to and stuff like that. That seems.
Well, Google the photos. You can scan them in and put them into your Google Drive. And then maybe even if you do that, if you go to that extent, maybe a hard drive too, back it up on a hard drive. But digital is probably the best way to get rid of photos. What I do now every year is for families for Christmas, I go through all the photos from my photos, my brother's photos, my cousin's photos for the year, and I make a Walmart calendar. I should, you can do it on any like online. There's a lot of different programs, but a photo calendar. So, you know, each month I put the photos, as many photos as I can, and then it's kind of like the new photo album. People don't print out photos, so now Mom has a collection of all the photos from the year, and then I can actually tailor the dates. So she has all the dates of all the birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. But creating collages, things you can hang, you know what I mean? The really important ones, why don't you create something that you can look at? So you're not just, you know, if they're really sitting in a box and you're not looking at them, then are you using them, kind of thing. So I guess it's just finding that like special place you want to take them to the next level. I don't know if that answers your question.
I was just going to add, I think it also forces you to pick which one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm just more thinking like the idea of like transferring that to a hard drive. Like I was on board with the idea of that thing hard drive and looking at.
Right. I never look at my hard drive.
What about getting a digital frame?
Oh, digital frame, yeah.
Put them on a USB, put them on a digital frame. Some digital frames you can even download.
Yeah.
You just send a picture right from your phone.
Then I'm just like,
But you
That's
can
true,
download-
that's true.
It's just it's a way. It depends on you. Like that's
Right.
valuable to you.
Right.
Having it on
Mhm.
display. It'd be nice to have it rotate.
Yeah, that's
It's like a family. If I was their mom,
Mhm.
and it goes right to her all the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and there's, yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's also like, yeah, go ahead.
You had mentioned digital color, and I don't know if this is that anyone can relate to this, but I know with photos that go to the cloud or that I save on my computer, I see them duplicated. I see photos that maybe an accidental screenshot, so that just gets really cluttered up, and sometimes it's hard to organize.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, think about the places you've been. Do you think if you were to Google that place, that photo might come up online? Maybe if you're in the photo is one thing, but if it's, you know, now when I go places, I don't take as many photos because I know that like if I go to Niagara Falls, somebody's taken a better picture of Niagara Falls than I can take with my phone. So it's if it, you know, that kind of helps you determine which ones to keep and which ones not to keep, and then maybe you can create a piece that actually can get use for you in your home. You know, if you had a trip and you wanted to pull together a collage of, you know, kind of surrounding that trip with the theme, and then get rid of the ones that you're not using. But I do have I have photos in a box, you know, and I do have photo albums and things like that because they do bring value to me. But when I think about it, how often do I look at them? They might be next on the chopping block. And they just get old with time and kind of fade, and they don't retain their quality. So, yeah.
So I'm a baby boomer
Yeah.
and the child of Depression era parents. The whole idea, don't throw anything away. They'll always be used for something.
Mhm.
It's just imprinted.
Yeah. Mhm.
Are there any like therapy groups for that age bracket? I'm listening. I'm watching this. It's like it's meant for people like me.
Mhm.
And I had a conversation with my sister recently about
Yeah.
saving baggies,
Yeah.
Ziploc bags.
Mhm.
Because,
Well, I think the only thing you can do is kind of out of sight, out of mind. So take the things that they are giving you, and then they don't know what happens to them. You know, so sometimes it's like you just have to appease them and say,
well, they're dead.
they're dead.
Well,
Okay.
they're dead.
So you're just trying to decide how to get rid of them yourself. You know, that's just, I guess, I mean, that's,
I'm not looking for.
we had a estate sale guy come in and speak about that kind of thing. So I would say, you know, if you can just pick the ear of somebody who runs an estate sale or appraisal company, kind of give you just hear some of those stories about the things people save. But
I also mean the whole mentality of
Yeah.
hanging on to things. It's just,
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, that jet. We're at a bridge right now where there is, you know, you're in the middle of it. You know, there's these older folks who have all the things, and then there are children who are stuck with, what do I do with all these things? And then there are your children who are like, I don't want any of those.
Right.
So we are at a critical crossroads right now. And I think everybody can relate to this on some level and place themselves in these shoes. So great. I super appreciate, yeah.
You had a specific slide about parenting and having color-coded dishware.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that one. So if you everybody has their own color, so then they're responsible. If there's a red dish in the sink, whose dish it is. No more. It's not mine. Wasn't mine. Well, that's your red dish. So, and then when you don't need 20 dishes, everybody has their set of silverware dishes in that color. And if they're needing it, then they need to do their dishes. Yeah. So thank you all for coming today. I hope this was valuable.